Karachi. After 2 bullish weeks, bears returned to the Pakistan Stock Exchange (PSX) as tensions in the Strait of Hormuz and a surge in oil prices amid stalled US-Iran talks dented investor confidence and heightened economic concerns. The benchmark KSE 100 index ended the week lower, though a strong rally in the final session helped to trim losses. The late recovery was driven by speculation surrounding a visit by Iran's foreign minister, which some investors initially interpreted as signalling a possible resumption of negotiations between Washington and Tehran.
Vaccines rarely make the headlines unless there is an outbreak. This World Immunization Week, it is a moment to reflect on how one of Pakistan's quietest public health successes remains one of its most consequential. Since the expanded program on immunization began in 1978, vaccines have helped avert 2.6-meter child deaths, protected millions of mothers and children, and contributed to a 99.8 PC reduction in paralytic polio since 1994. WHO estimates routine immunization averts up to 17 PC of childhood mortality in Pakistan. Iran asks US to lift blockade, warns of response if piracy continues. Macron wants full reopening of Strait in coming days and weeks. Turkey, Germany agree to demining missions Tehran, Ankara. As a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz by the US and Iran led to energy shortages, efforts were afoot to restore freedom of navigation in the vital maritime route, with multiple countries offering to demine the strait once peace was restored.
And US President Donald Trump's decision to abruptly cancel a previously confirmed visit by his envoys to Islamabad underscores a defining feature of the current crisis. And diplomacy that advances and retreats at the speed of presidential messaging. Until this latest move, Washington had been sending mixed but cautiously constructive signals. And back-channel contacts and Pakistan's mediation had raised the possibility of direct engagement in Islamabad, potentially involving Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. And US President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were rushed out of the White House Correspondents Association dinner by Secret Service agents on Saturday night after a man armed with a shotgun tried to breach security. Officials said a man armed with a shotgun fired at a Secret Service agent, an FBI official told Reuters. The agent was hit in an area covered by protective gear and not harmed, the official said.
United States President Donald Trump has been evacuated from the White House Correspondents' Dinner at a hotel in Washington, D.C. by his Secret Service agents. The evacuation on Saturday evening came after loud sounds were heard inside the banquet hall of the Washington Hilton, where the event was taking place.
And Anthropic's new Mythos model, promoted as a powerful tool for identifying software vulnerabilities, is facing questions after reports that unauthorized users gained access to the preview system. The company had limited Mythos availability to select organizations under a program called Project Glasswing, allowing partners to test the model for security use cases.
Researchers at Northwestern University have developed a new fuel cell that uses naturally occurring soil bacteria to generate electricity for underground sensors. The device is about the size of a paperback book and is designed to power low-energy systems such as agricultural monitoring sensors without relying on batteries or solar panels.
At least 14 people were killed and at least 38 wounded, including 5 children, after a bomb tore apart a busy road in southwestern Colombia, according to local authorities. The incident was part of a wave of terror attacks this weekend, Colombian officials also said, as deadly violence resurges in the country.
Samsung's mobile division could record its first ever annual loss in 2026 as rising memory costs, stronger competition and pressure across product categories weigh on the business, according to a report from Sami Guru. The report said Samsung Mobile chief TM Rowe told company leaders that the MX business could lose money this year.
and Donald Trump cancelled a planned trip by US officials to Pakistan for talks on the Iran war on Saturday, shortly after Tehran's delegation had left Islamabad. The US president said Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner would be wasting too much time, adding that if Iran wanted to talk, all they have to do is and at least 7 people were killed and 20 were wounded following a suspected explosive attack in the southwestern province of Cauca, Colombia, according to regional authorities. Governor Octavio Guzman said that an explosive was detonated on the Pan American Highway in the El Tunal sector of Quijibio on Saturday. He condemned what he called an indiscriminate attack against the civilian population.
In a recent experiment, Anthropic created a classified marketplace where AI agents represented both buyers and sellers, striking real deals for real goods and real money. The company admitted this test, which it called Project Deal, was only a pilot experiment with a self-selected participant pool of 69 Anthropic employees who were given a budget of $100 paid out via gift cards to buy stuff from their co-workers. Scientists have discovered dinosaur footprints along South Africa's coastline, offering new evidence that dinosaurs continued to live in southern Africa long after massive volcanic eruptions reshaped the region around 182 million years ago. Southern Africa is known for its rich fossil history, particularly in the Karoo Basin. However, after widespread lava flows covered much of the basin, the fossil record becomes noticeably quiet during the Jurassic period. The new discovery is helping to fill this long-standing gap.
And a new global ranking has revealed the world's richest countries for 2026. But this time, the list is not based only on GDP. According to travel insurance comparison site HelloSafe, its prosperity index combines GDP and GNI with quality of life indicators such as income equality, poverty rates, and the Human Development Index, HDI. And the flash mob descended on Brisbane City Square, wearing double denim and blonde wigs in the style of a legendary Australian singer, as they danced with wild abandon to one of his 1980s hits. In an unlikely pairing, pro-Palestinian protesters have adopted John Farnham's song Two Strong Hearts as an unofficial anthem, because its lyrics bear a coincidental resemblance to a political slogan recently banned by the state government in northeastern Australia.
Tehran, Iran's authorities and state media project that they are less interested than before the war in negotiations with the United States if they go beyond their accepted terms, as mediated talks failed to materialize in Pakistan. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi met senior Pakistani officials in Islamabad on Saturday and left for Oman to be later bound for Russia. The top diplomat, who was not joined by Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf like in a previous round of negotiations earlier this month, said he was yet to see if the US is truly serious about diplomacy.
A United States federal court has blocked the administration of United States President Donald Trump from deporting a woman and her 5 children following their release from immigration detention. Hayam El-Gamal and her 5 children, ranging in age from 5 to 18 years old, had been held for 10 months prior to their release earlier this week following a judge's order. They had been held in detention for the longest of any known family during Trump's second term in office.
And divisions are widening within NATO. US President Donald Trump is furious after a refusal by European member states to join the US-Israeli war on Iran.
Maine Governor Janet Mills has vetoed a bill that would have temporarily brought permits for new data centres to a halt. If it had become law, LD 307 would have imposed the country's first statewide moratorium on new data centres, lasting in this case until November 1, 2027. The bill also called for the creation of a 13-person council to study and make recommendations on data centre construction.
And Hungary's outgoing Prime Minister Viktor Orban has said he will not take up his seat in Parliament after his party was defeated in a landslide that ended his 16-year rule. I am now needed not in Parliament, but in the reorganisation of the patriotic movement, he said in a video statement released on social media on Saturday evening.
Arsenal returned to the top of the Premier League as Eberechi Eze's Thunderbolt sealed a tense 1-0 win against Newcastle. For the first time since October, Arsenal had started a league game out of pole position after Manchester City's 1-0 win at Burnley on Wednesday sent them to the summit. United States President Donald Trump has announced that his envoys would not be traveling to Pakistan for talks with Iranian officials after Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi left the country. The US president told news outlet Fox News that he had ordered Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner to ditch plans to visit the Pakistani capital Islamabad for the possible talks, despite his earlier claims that Iran was making an offer aimed at resolving the two-month conflict. Hours after an Iranian delegation departed Islamabad, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif on Saturday spoke with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian and said that Pakistan was committed to serving as an honest and sincere facilitator. In a post on the social media platform X, PM Shehbaz said that he had a warm and constructive call with the Iranian president on the evolving regional situation. The Mexican government says 2 US agents who died last weekend in a car crash had not been authorized to operate in the country. The officials who reportedly worked for the CIA had taken part in a raid on suspected drug labs in the northern state of Chihuahua before their vehicle skidded off a mountain road and exploded.
And human rights groups in Venezuela have criticized interim President Delcy Rodriguez for saying a scheme to release political prisoners was coming to an end. Having been in place for just 9 weeks, nearly 500 political prisoners have been released under the amnesty law brought in by the country's National Assembly. Prisoner rights group Foro Penal says, but many more are thought to still be in jail.
Gaza held its first elections in more than 20 years on Saturday, but only in one city for a small fraction of the shattered territory's population, amid a stalled process to advance the US-brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. The elections took place in the city of Deir al-Balah in central Gaza, one of the areas that suffered the least destruction during nearly 2 years of Israeli bombardment of the enclave. Held under the auspices of the Palestinian Authority, the municipal elections also took place in the occupied West Bank, amid perceived widespread disillusionment with the ruling Fatah party. Deir el-Balah, Gaza, early this morning, Salama Badwan, his wife and daughter, headed to a polling station in Deir el-Balah, central Gaza, to participate in the municipal elections, which are taking place for the first time since 2006. The 43-year-old said he was delighted to be casting a vote after such a long absence and overjoyed that his daughter, who recently turned 18, could vote for the first time in her life.
And the Mexican government has said 2 federal agents from the United States killed in a car crash in connection with an anti-narcotics raid, widely reported to be CIA officers, were not authorized to operate on Mexican territory. Mexico's security cabinet said in a statement on Saturday that one of the US citizens had entered the country as a visitor and the other on a diplomatic passport.